Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session for a client that had anxiety at the idea of ticks. If you're not sure what ticks effectively are small insects normally found in forests, woods, countryside, normally where there are deer roaming and things like that. And ticks have the unfortunate kind of ability to burrow and kind of bite. So they don't just bite, they kind of bite and burrow, and makes them very unpleasant creatures. Now, this particular client used to live in an area where there were more ticks. She had moved to a different location, but people were visiting her from an area where ticks used to be. So she was having this looming anxiety that ticks might get into the house. And that was the cause of the anxiety. It was the evaluation, the anticipatory fear that something undesirable would be close to her. What you're going to hear in this hypnosis session is a reframe. And that reframe is that there were other things that she wouldn't think about, but also that she didn't want in her house, like frogs, for example. But she wouldn't worry about them. It's just that if she ever saw a frog in her house, she would remove it from the house. And therefore, that was a useful resource state for something also unwanted in a house, like a tick. So there's an element of that, but also having this fact that she had seen ticks before gave evidence that actually she was better equipped than most at identifying ticks if they were in her proximity, because she had done that before. So this hypnosis session is really to look at this perceived threat in a different way, which is that she has the resources to identify and remove ticks whenever she needs to, and that she doesn't need to think about it outside of that time. So there's an element of disassociating from the inner dialogue responsible for the anxiety, and to create this perception, this true evaluation, which is that she doesn't need to think about it, but if she does, she can deal with it quickly and handle it effectively. If you have a fear of insects, a phobia of any kind of creatures, it's worth knowing that, the modern approaches to anxiety, phobias, you don't have to keep having these kind of fears anymore if you choose not to. You just need to find a credible therapist that knows what they're doing. If you think I might be that person to help you, there will be a link in the show notes that you can schedule a free 30-minute consultation call with me to explore whatever your phobia is or whatever the cause of your anxiety is. But for now, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow feelings of any worry, tension or stress to leave your body. That's right. As you breathe in and breathe out, just allow your eyelids to close. And as they close, give permission to yourself to just let go of any tension. Any worries, any stress, just allow it to leave your body in your outward breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to think of a time in your life where you were at your most resourceful. A time when you successfully dealt with a major problem. Maybe it took several days or weeks to resolve this problem. But I want you to think of a time when you resolved a problem in a resourceful way. You didn't really feel that stressed or overwhelmed because you trusted your ability to resolve and solve the problem. And I want you to imagine that you're observing that version of you that was so resourceful with that difficult or complicated problem. See how you looked, how you dealt with it. I want you to get a sense that there is a version of you that is highly resourceful and very well versed in solving problems that need solving. As you observe this version of you overcoming an obstacle, dealing with a problem, coming up with a solution, and then implementing that solution, I want you to get a sense that you have the ability to trust yourself to deal with a problem as it arises. And when you see that version of you, highly resourceful at resolving a problem, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to imagine that you're stepping into that version of you, feeling how good it feels to feel that level of resourcefulness. Notice where in your body you feel that level of resourcefulness. Notice the pace, the rhythm, the speed of your breathing. Notice the tonality of your inner dialogue. Confident, assured, calm. And I want you to get a sense that you can access this part whenever you identify a problem that needs to be solved. And knowing that you can deal with complex, difficult challenges, it stands to reason that if you can deal with a difficult challenge, then a tiny issue, a blip, a bother, a trivial thing is super easy to feel resourceful to deal with that problem. I want you to recall a time that you were in your home and you saw a small frog. You didn't spend any time before you saw the frog worrying about frogs. But you identified the frog and evaluated that you'd rather that this frog wasn't in your home. And maybe you found a cup or a container or a box to scoop up that frog, and you took it outside. And perhaps you didn't even identify that as a problem. It was just something that happened. You saw a frog, you didn't want it there, so you took it outside. I want you to tap into that feeling that you know how to deal with complex problems, and you know how to deal with removing an animal from your home that you don't want in your home. And allow yourself to fuse those two resources together. Because sometimes there might be an animal in your home that you're happy stays there, perhaps a pet dog. And I want you to imagine seeing that dog in your home, and you can evaluate that this animal in your home is not a problem at all. Even though you can accept that there are people that exist in the world that would freak out with the idea of a dog in their home, for you, there is no issue whatsoever So you can see an animal in your home and be totally fine that it's there. Or you could see a small frog. Evaluate that you'd prefer that if this animal wasn't in your home. Scoop it up and just remove it from your home. Tiny bother, trivial thing, no concern at all. And I want you to accept that small bugs are no different from a small frog. You'd rather they weren't in your home, but there's nothing to do until you see one. And it might be there's certain bugs you don't even mind. A small ant, you don't mind if it's there. But certain bugs like a tick, whenever you see one, you can just identify that you'd rather it wasn't there, and then either remove it or destroy it, whatever you prefer. And I want you to get a sense that before you remove that, I want you to imagine that a previous inner dialogue is now being projected to a pet dog. And I want you to imagine with a funny voice that your pet dog is trying to scare you just as your inner voice did in the past. Imagine that pet dog in a funny voice saying all those what if things, and notice that it doesn't matter what this pet dog says. You can close each and every loop. You can answer each and every question in a strong, confident, resourceful way. But really allow this dog to try its hardest to freak you out. And the more this pet dog tries to freak you out, the more resourceful you become. You just have a sense that your resources are infinitely higher than this tiny, small, trivial, tiny little bother. And when your pet dog has tried and failed to try and create anxiety in you, just let me know by nodding your head. The more it tries, the more resourceful you get. I want you to accept a suggestion that you have a powerful neural pathway in your brain that means you are uniquely gifted at scanning and identifying for tics. In the past, perhaps that was linked to a feeling of anxiety. But allow any feelings of anxiety to drain away and still accept that that ability to check and scan and notice them if they're there is something you are uniquely good at. So if there ever is a tic in your home, you are the single best person to find it, to notice it, and to remove it. And I want you to imagine that you do notice a tic in your home, maybe attached to an item of clothing or an animal. And I want the sight of it to trigger that resourceful feeling when you solve that difficult challenge. Only this isn't a difficult challenge. It's a tiny, trivial, minor bother. I want you to notice it. Decide how you're going to remove it. Remove it, and then the problem is done. you to imagine this happens with 3 or 4 different tics in different locations or circumstances. Each and every time it triggers a resourceful feeling that, just like the frog, you don't want it in your home, but you're not going to get bothered by it. It's no big deal. This is small, trivial. Each and every time, see yourself removing the tic so it's no longer an issue. As you build a belief system that you don't have to worry about tics because you're uniquely able to find them, and if you find them, you can remove them rapidly. And if you accept that to be true, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to imagine it's in the future and people are visiting, and they're visiting from a location where there is more tics around. And I want you to see that future version of you when they arrive, not being anxious, not being vigilant, just being sensibly cautious. See that you are cool, calm, collectively checking things in a very natural way, able to shut down any inner dialogue rapidly, as if your dog was trying to make you anxious and it can't. And see that you're able to enjoy yourself because there is no anxiety levels, just mild levels of caution, just enough to notice something if it needs to be noticed, and resolved if it needs to be resolved. And imagine for the length of the duration of the stay, you see that confident, resourceful version of you, calm and in control, and doing whatever necessary, if it's necessary, but not worrying about stuff at any other time. Closing down those loops, closing down that dialogue, and just knowing, just like that little frog, that if you see it there, you can deal with it. And outside of that, there's no need to even think about it. And when you can see that future version of you, confidently and resourcefully, doing things the way you would like to do things, just let me know by nodding your head. You are unlocking all of the resources to connect those parts of you that are resourceful, calm and confident in other contexts into this context. You've tried being anxious and vigilant, and it makes you less resourceful. So let's try the most resourceful version of you, being in control to mitigate, but only do something if it needs to be done. Take that resourceful feeling, return to the present with a deep feeling of confidence that you are uniquely positioned to keep you safe and to resolve only if a trivial thing needs to be resolved. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that all parts in the present listening to my voice right now. As I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, you will awaken feeling resourceful, confident, and having anxiety replaced with resourcefulness, feeling that you can enjoy the future because you can resolve any issue if and only if it arises, and you can resolve it quickly if it does, starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.